All right, everybody. Make sure this thing's on. I recorded a whole episode and the microphone was off. In any case, you already know what time it is. Hope you had a good weekend, good Lord's Day, good everything. We are going to talk today about a few different things. Here's the thing. Everybody talks. Everybody talks a game. Some people talk a big game, some people talk a medium game, some people talk a small game. Everybody talks a game. Most people are full of it. Most people are totally full of it. There's not a lot of action to back up the talk. And no one's a perfect example in my life right now than Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is the head coach of the New York Jets. By all accounts, by his record, he should be fired, but he's not going to be fired. He's going to be the coach next year, too. And this guy's totally full of it. I remember he came on board, and he had all these mantras, the Jets are going to be all gas and no brakes, we're positive vibes only, and then he starts the season, and he sucks, of course. And he at one point, he does a press conference, and he says, you guys are going to be sorry, things are going to click. And when we're good, on offense, we're keeping all the receipts, so we're gonna show you that we knew what was going on. And 3 years later, it still sucks. As simple as that. We got the receipts, Salah. You still stink. This guy talks about empathy more than anybody. If you ever wondered to yourself, hey, self, is empathy like is it good to be an empathetic coach? Like, is empathy good to coach football? The answer is no. The answer is no. This guy got empathy. One of his players this year, Zach Wilson, he's a quarterback, Mormon quarterback. And he sucks. Simple as that. He sucks. And he expressed reluctance to play. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm going to be on a different team next year probably because the Jets are going to run me out of town. I don't know. I don't want to get injured. The minute that you sniff that out, a player is reluctant to play, he should have been fired. He should have been cut right then and right there. Imagine if you told your boss that you're reluctant to work because maybe next year you might work for a different company and you don't want to get burnt out. Like, you'd be fired, obviously. But of course, no, he's got empathy. He sees it from Zach Wilson's perspective. And, the kid's had a hard career. And no, that's no way to run a football team. Nothing but excuses with this guy. We sucked again. And he's like, we got injuries and, stuff like that. And we, it's been hard. We got a lot of improvement this year. You were 7-10. There's no improvement at all. You still stink. Well, there's a lot of things that we did better and things like that. This is how a winner talks about a season like that. This is Garrett Wilson. He's on our team. He's the best player on our team. He's a second year in. He was a rookie of the year his first year. He did great this year. Listen how he responds to their awful season, because he personally did very well. He's a good player. He had good stats. Even though he has a horrible team, he was doing well. Listen to how he talks about it.
And what happened this season can't happen again, is how I feel about it. And I don't, I can't say that. Kind of back to what Connor had asked me, I got to stay in my lane. I don't know exactly how to answer that, to be fair, or to be honest. But it's got to be better. We've got to make adjustments in the game. We've got to do things to counter what we're getting and be able to put points on the board. Because we the 2 years I've been here, and I mean honestly, and all my it's been tough. It's been tough going, and football hasn't been this hard as far as offense. And when I watch it. On the sideline, it don't look that hard for the other team. So we got to figure out something to get it rolling, no matter who's slinging it, man. And I know that Aaron will be an offense in itself because that's just what he brings to the table. He's special, man. And
basically saying, look, it doesn't matter about the injuries. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. It doesn't matter. Like, every team has this. I look at the other team. It doesn't look that hard for them. We got to do better. He also said, somebody said, hey, you had a great year, congratulations. And he said, this is what he said. This kid, this is a kid, he's 23, 24. And he goes, I got to be honest with you. This was the worst season of my career. And he goes, I know you're talking about me personally, so thank you, but this is the worst season of my career. This was awful. Yeah, I did fine, but we lost. What difference did it make? This is a kid this guy is the opposite of being all talk with no substance. This guy over here, Robert Saleh, some people say I look like him, or that he could be related to me, I don't know, man. I kind of see it, but he looks like he'd be a good head coach, but he's full of it. He's absolutely full of it. And that's what we're talking about today. People being full of it. Neil Shenvi, man. Oh my goodness. Neil Shenvi. He tried to trap us. And it was it was adorable. He tried to pull an Eric Kahn. You know, like Eric Kahn, he'll post a Bible verse, but he won't cite it as a Bible verse. He'll just post what it says. And then people in the comments, oh, that's stupid. You're a misogynist. You're stupid. And then he's like, oh, well, you know, it's Corinthians, whatever. You know, that's what he does. I've done that before, too. I remember I was debating an Arminian, and there's a Bible verse that says that God consigns all to disobedience so that he might show mercy or something like that. And he said, well, that's stupid. And then I was like, hey, maybe you should check your Bible at this verse. And he goes, oh, well, you must be misunderstanding that. I was like, dude, you just called the Bible stupid. You know what I mean? That's a real trap, right? Obviously. And I like traps. I don't have a problem with trolling and traps and stuff like that. But Neil messed this up. Neil was like an old man fumbling over an iPhone, like trying to figure out how to work the iPhone. Like Neil totally blew this one. It's so stupid. So he writes here, I utterly repudiate sinful ethnic partiality in all its various forms. And so everyone was teeing off on this because it looks like he's just doing the thing that everybody does. This is a common thing. This is a common thing people do. Out of nowhere, they'll say, I stand against misogyny. I stand boldly against anti-Semitism. And it's just like out of nowhere, so we make fun of it. And we, rightfully so, because it's stupid to do this kind of stuff. This is a virtue signaling, whatever. So I thought he was pulling a Strawn, right? Because Strawn does this. Come what may, I stand against racism. You know? But he actually wasn't pulling a Strawn, because what he was doing, he was trying to trap you. And Gabe Hughes here. Gabe, this video is for you, buddy. I like you, man. I like you, and I think you're smarter than you let on. So Gabe here says, this was a direct quote from the statement on Christian nationalism, so maybe you guys are the ones that are stupid. That's basically what he's saying. Maybe that, you know, you guys are the virtue signalers. And it doesn't work at all, because it's not like Eric Kahn, number one, because Eric Kahn, he wouldn't like try to trick you to make you think like it was something that it was. And Neil's here trying to say, look, I said this, but it's really from the statement on Christian nationalism. But the problem is, even if Eric Kahn did do this, because I think he has done something similar before, it's not a Kahn, but it is similar. He has to understand, like, you have to put it in context here. So the statement on Christian nationalism, it was written at a time when Christian nationalists were fielding accusations of being, ethnic partiality, racist, Nazi, neo-Nazis, all day long. That's all people were saying about Christian nationalists. So they put it in the statement in context, specifically, not just a virtue signal out of nowhere. It was just to address, look, we don't believe in ethnic partiality or sinful partiality at all. We repudiate it, right? So, in context, there was a reason they put this in the statement. It wasn't just out of nowhere saying, I utterly stand against anti-Semitism. So, Neil thinks it's a gotcha, but it's not a gotcha. I didn't know at the time when you put this here that this was part of the Christian nationalist statement, that you're setting a trap or whatever. I didn't know. So, you got me. You got me on this one, Neil. But now that I know, I'm still going to make fun of every single idiot that decides to virtue signal. It's still funny. It's still funny each and every time someone boldly stands against anti-Semitism. Come what may. This is nothing. This is not a trap. This is stupid. Neil, you're adorable. You're absolutely adorable. You're so full of it, Neil. It's ridiculous. I don't know who's more full of it, Robert Saleh or Neil Shenvi. I suppose it's got to be Neil, because Robert Saleh is just a football coach. I mean, who cares? You're full of it, Neil. You're all talk. You believe a lot of the right things, and yet your actions all determine that you actually don't believe it. You're just full of it. You're full of it, Neil. Take a good hard look in the mirror. You are full of it. I don't know if you know that you're full of it or not, but you're totally full of it. You're all hat and no cattle. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, I'll be honest. One of the things I told Gabe here is that if he only knew the backstory here, I'm not going to share the backstory because the backstory is private. You know what I mean? But what I will say is that I don't even think this was smart to put in the Christian nationalist statement. I agree with the statement. Like, there's a sinful version of ethnic partiality, but then there's an unsinful version, right? Like, that's why they wrote it this way, because they wanted to make sure that they were only talking about the sinful kind. There's an ethnic partiality that's not sinful. You know, most people, when they get married, they marry someone of their same ethnicity. They're showing partiality, but it's not a sinful version of partiality. You know, Paul in the Bible says all Cretans are liars. That's partial. It's not a sinful partiality, though. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to retain the ability to still talk about ethnic things that are partial, but not the sinful version. Because some of those things need to be kicked around. Like, you can kick them around, and sometimes they need to be kicked around, right? And still repudiate the sinful version, right? That's why they wrote it. But honestly, I don't think it was smart to do this because, and if you notice, people call me anti-Semitic, they call me whatever all day long on the internet, right? And I always laugh at them. I always post that 20th Century Fox meme, no one cares. You know, because here's the thing. People accuse you of anti-Semitism, and they do it not to get you to deny, or not to get you to admit it, because no one's going to admit it, really. They're not expecting that. What they want you to do is deny it. They want you on record 10, 20, 100 times denying being a racist or a misogynist, because the idea is that the effect will be, for people that aren't really paying attention, oh, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, 10 people accused A.D. Robles of being an anti-Semite today. I guess he's an anti-Semite. So I don't play that game. I don't do the denials and the repudiations that are demanded of me. You know what I mean? I just laugh at that stuff. That's what I'd recommend. If someone's publicly accusing you of something ridiculous, just laugh at them. It's funny, and there's really no point in denying it, because the whole reason they're asking is because they want you to deny it. They want it on record. They want to sully your image. They want to make you dirty. And weasels like Shenvi, who are all no cattle, full of it. Neil is full of it. Just like Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, I mean, he looks like a cool dude. And in fact, I'd like to have a beer with Robert Saleh. He seems like a nice guy. But he's full of it. So is this guy. This guy's all talk, no record, no backup, no nothing. And so is Neil Shenvi, this guy. Here. Neil. There's Neil. Full of it. This guy's full of it. Anyway, yeah. So my recommendation is, like, if you have a private conversation with like your brother, like if my brother came to me and said, hey, you know, he would never do this because my brother's way more extreme than I am. But let's just say, he said, hey, Adam, you know, I'm worried a little bit about your trajectory. You know, I wonder if you're like a misogynist or an anti-Semite. In a private conversation with people who know me and they know me well, and I might deny being an anti-Semite. I might. But when someone that you have no relationship with, like Neil, some weasel like Neil, looks like this, little weasel, says, you're an anti-Semite, I would recommend not denying it. You can either laugh at them or ignore it. I mean, I guess if you want to deny it, go ahead, but it's not going to have any positive effect for you. Nobody's going to think that you denied being an anti-Semite 10 times. I guess he's not an anti-Semite. Nobody's going to think that way. I would recommend just completely ignoring them or laughing at them. That's the strategy, because the whole point of them calling you an ethnic centrist or whatever they called you as a Christian nationalist is so that you would put it here and deny it a million times, and so people will say, oh, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be something weird going on there. There's got to be something weird. Neil Shenvi's full of it. You know who else is full of it? Greg Thornberg. He's also full of it. Now, I wanted to do a longer take on this, but Greg deleted his account because he's, I don't know why, but it's pretty funny. I love how these idiots delete their account. This is just too funny. But this thread was all about how Joel Webben is leading an apostasy, and he's evil, and he has bad ideas, and he's dangerous, whatever, he's a wolf. I don't know exactly what he said because he deleted it. But he's very anti-Joel. And Fred Butler here goes, you can pretend to ignore him all you want, but he's spot on. And I'm like, dude, I don't ignore him. Guys like Greg Thornberg are actually very helpful to me because they're a good contrarian indicator. You know what I mean? You could put all the work in to decide for yourself, or you could just look like an idiot like Greg, and the guys that he's very much against are probably guys you should look into. That's a good endorsement. If Greg doesn't like you, chances are you're probably doing the right thing. And I'm not saying it's 100%. It's not a hard and fast rule. No contrarian indicator is like that, where you can just automatically believe the opposite. But it's a good litmus test. If Greg likes you, you need to take a good hard look in the mirror, because Greg's another one of these guys. He's full of it. He's full. Now, he has a little bit more cattle because he's got the track record of being a GOP strategist and all this kind of... Okay, fine. He's got a little bit of cattle. He's still full of it, though, and he's a contrarian indicator. You got to find these guys. That's my recommendation. Greg Thornberg, I guess he's off the internet now. So maybe he won't be a good contrarian indicator for you anymore. But there are certain people that if they're for it, you should take a hard look at the con position, at the against it position. I'm not saying it's always right, but you need to have these contrarian indicators in your life. Greg Thornberg is very helpful because it's a good litmus test. If he's against it, you might want to be for it. To take a good hard look at that. Oh, man. Here's another guy that's full of it. Joel McDurmon. I have not in my entire life ever seen a trajectory that's been so awful so quickly in my entire life. Joel McDurmon, like when I first was a Christian, maybe I was just naive. I was a young man. You know, I've been a Christian for a little over 10 years, or I forget exactly how long. But I found Joel McDurmon pretty easily, quickly rather, and I loved his stuff. He was really good in a lot of ways. You know, there were certain things I disagreed with what he said, but overall, he was a very positive influence in my Christian walk, at least understanding the Bible more. Maybe not so much the walk, but just like understanding the Bible. But he's fallen off, man. And God, honestly, has anyone seen Joel in real life, like in the flesh, recently? Because I don't know, man. He might be locked up in a bunker somewhere because his account reads like a bot that just has an infinite amount of the worst takes you've ever seen in your entire life. Like every tweet, one after the next, is worse than the last one. It's all stupid. I've never seen anything like it. Somebody had a theory that maybe his wife runs his account half the time. And that's a good theory. But I think that if a real person, even if it was a crazy woman, ran his account, I don't know anything about his wife, but let's just say she was totally crazy and she was running his account, I still think it would be more rational than his account currently is. I really do. This is as bad as it gets. Listen to this. There's a story here, I guess, of a Muslim woman who got beaten because she didn't want to wear the hijab, right? She didn't want to wear the hijab, so she got beaten. And here's what Joel McDurmon's, I think he's got a high IQ, but Joel McDurmon, here's what he says. God bless her. And the men who stood by and watched, beyond toxic. Every buzzword's here. He's got all the buzzwords. It's toxic. It's toxic masculinity. God bless her. And the men who stood by and watched, beyond toxic. Wicked. And there are Christian men here who would prefer this level of control over women as well. Resist it vocally. So he wants to give you the idea that there's a lot of Christians out there that want to get women to wear the hijab. You know, maybe they're only talking about yoga pants now, but it's only a matter of time before it's the hijab. And then if you don't, they're going to beat you. That's what there's Christian men out there. There's a lot of them. And they want this level of control over women where they can beat you if you don't wear the clothes that they want you to wear. Okay, Joel. And he says, resist it vocally. Resist it vocally. You see what I mean? It's like a bot wrote this. It's got the buzzwords. It's nonsensical. It's a bot. It's like a liberal brain dead bot. And this guy used to have a lot of good stuff to say, and now he's an idiot. He turned himself into an idiot. A lot of people have theories on what happened. I have no idea. I do know, though, that ever since he debated J.D. Hall, the theonomy debate, I agreed with Joel's side of the debate. But he was never the same after that. J.D. Hall knocked all the rationality and sense out of Joel McDurmon. And I don't know how or why or what it was that did it, but he was never the same. J.D. Hall destroyed Joel McDurmon's brain. It's turned to mush ever since then. I don't know how it happened. But he says, resist it vocally. All the Christian men out there, resist it. And so there's an obvious question. And Doug Wilson, very good at asking the obvious question. He says, Joel, yeah, absolutely. God bless her. That was bad. But unless you're willing to name the Christian men that you claim want to do this, then you're not resisting anything vocally. You say resist it vocally. How about you try start right now? Because you're full of it. That's what Doug Wilson's saying in a nice way. You're full of it. You're like Robert Saleh. All gas and no brakes. We're checking the receipts. But you're full of it. You don't know what you're doing. This man's clueless. Good at coaching defenses, clueless head coach. Joel McDurmon's also clueless, apparently. Although I don't think he is. I think he's just, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so he says, yeah, name some names, man. You say resist it vocally. Why don't we start with you? And Joel says, because they voluntarily expose themselves. That doesn't answer the question. If they voluntarily expose themselves, then okay, it should be quite easy to give me a name. Of course, it's not because he made it up. He's full of it. He's an awful gay tweet generator. Every tweet is gayer than the last. It's gay tweets all the way down. And so, they're just full of it. These people are full of it. You know what I mean? That's what they have in common. They're all just full of it. They're all talk and no action. Either resist it vocally, but I refuse to resist it vocally. I refuse. They do it themselves, but I'm telling you to resist it vocally. Yeah, today, yoga pants, they don't want you to wear bikinis at the beach. They think it's not right for a Christian woman to wear a bikini at the beach for all the men to see her whole body and stuff. And it's only a matter of time before it turns and they beat you because you won't wear the hijab. Resist it vocally. Oh, man. Joel McDurmon. Joel McDurmon, here's something I will say. A lot of people are saying it's sad to see Neil turn into this. William Wolf said he's turned into Kyle Howard, and I don't know, man. Neil, I don't really feel sad about Neil because Neil's kind of always been this way, in my opinion. But I understand people that are sad about Neil because I'm a little sad about Joel. At least I used to be. I'm free now. I'm enjoying my freedom. I'm over. I got closure. But Joel, man, like it's just like it's hard to understand. It's humbling, actually. It's humbling to understand that a man can be pretty good and then turn into a tweet generator. A bot, just with the most brain dead takes, one after another. It's humbling. It's humbling, is what it is. So, I used to be, I used to avoid commenting on Joel McDurmon because, it was humbling. It just I couldn't understand it. It made me a little bit sad on the inside. But I'm free now. I'm free. Joel McDurmon. It's unbelievable. I have no way to explain how this has happened, but it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. This guy, his another contrarian indicator. If Joel's against it, I mean, you should take a hard look. Who's worse, Greg Thornberg or Joel? I think it has to be Joel. Greg Thornberg is pretty bad, but Joel is worse, in my opinion. Way worse. The contrarian indicator here. But anyway, so yeah, that's the video for today. All these guys, there's a lot of people. Everyone talks, right? Everybody talks. In fact, Garrett Wilson here is talking, right? He's talking. And you want to see it in action. But you see, the difference between Garrett Wilson and Joel McDurmon and Neil Shenvi is that Garrett talks the talk, and he's currently walking the walk. You know what I mean? He's the best player the Jets have, and he's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. And you can see the difference, too, because Garrett is in reality. You know what I mean? Garrett Wilson is in reality. He's like, yeah, I had a great season, but it wasn't enough, and the team sucks, and the results aren't there, and so I need to do better, and I will do better. I know what it takes to win. I'm used to winning. I know that it doesn't have to be this way, and we got to make some changes. Salah's over here saying, we improved, and, we're on the right track, and No, you're not. You're not. Reality says you're not. Your record says you're keeping receipts. So am I. You stink. Your team stinks, and you've done a terrible job. It's as simple as that. You gotta watch out for people because everybody talks. Some of them actually back it up. Some of them actually have substance to what they say. Neil doesn't. Neil has no substance. Greg Thornberg is a special case, and McDurmon. Oh my goodness, the results. The results of Joel McDurmon. It just sucks. What do you think happened to Joel? I'd like to see the comments. What do you think happened to Joel? Because I have my theories, but I really don't know. What do you think happened? This guy is like, how? How did it happen? In any case, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.